In this video, you're going to learn how to set up a Google display campaign, including some very important settings that you need to check before going live with your Google Ads display campaign. This will help you optimize your campaign to reach the right audience while saving money by restricting clicks from placements that you do not want to appear on. To help you get the process right, I'm going to set up a dummy Google Ads display campaign to show you step by step what you need to be looking for when setting up your display campaign. So let's get started with setting up our campaign. Okay, once you are signed into your Google Ads account, you will need to click on New Campaign. And here you will see the different goal options that you can choose from. But for our campaign, we'll just select create a campaign without goals guidance. This will show us the different campaign types that Google offers. As we are creating a display campaign, we'll just click on display. This will lead us to these three options. The first one is a smart display option. However, we will need to select the standard display campaign option because we want to optimize our campaign manually and narrow down our targeting to the specific audience that we want to reach. Then we get the option to enter the business website URL. It's not necessary to enter the website details here, as we can include the website URL when we are creating our ads. So we'll skip this option and we'll click on continue. So now here we will provide Google with our campaign name. So I'll create a new campaign name here. So you can choose whichever campaign name that you want to use for your new display campaign. And the way I create campaign names is by including the business initials in the beginning, which is SE here, and then the product or service that I'm going to create this campaign for. So in this case is /extensions, and the network that this campaign will be running on, and in this case is display. Then we move to the location options where we want to select the targeted location that we want to target for our business or our service. So if you offer your services in the entire territory or in an entire country, then you can keep the country selected. So because I am based in United Kingdom, that's why by default United Kingdom is selected. However, if you want to target a local business area and you are a local business or you're advertising for a local business, then you will select the enter another location option, and this will allow you to select specific city or postcodes that you can choose from. So we'll click on advanced search, and here we will enter the name of the location that we want to target. So in my case, I'll enter London and I'll target that location and I'll click save. So before we move on to the languages section, there is a small option here that says location options. If we expand that option here, you can see that we can choose from the two options here. The first one is the target. So people in or who show interest in your targeted locations, which Google suggests that is recommended by Google. However, my experience suggests that if you leave these options selected as they are, usually you will also get clicks from people who are not really residing in your location or in your targeted location, and you might end up wasting money on clicks appearing from other countries or other locations. That's why I usually change this option to people in or regularly in my targeted locations. Similarly, for exclude, I would change this option to people in or who show interest in my excluded locations. Then we move on to the languages section. Here, English is selected by default because the ads will appear to people who would have their browser settings set up to English. However, if you are offering a service or a product that does not really relate to a specific language speaking audience, so for example, you have business owners who you're offering a service to business owners who not necessarily be native English speakers, and they might have set their browser to a different language, say for example Arabic or any other language. So if you will select only language as English, this will exclude those people who have set their browser to any other language from your targeting. So it's entirely up to you how you want to use this option. If you select all languages, as long as your targeted location is correct, it will slightly increase the size of your audience while keeping the targeting selected correctly for your location. However, I will keep this to English. Then we move on to the bidding section. Here we will need to select our bidding strategy. As we are just starting out with our first display campaign, I suggest that we start with manual CPC bidding. So if I click on here, select a bidding strategy directly, and then this drop down box, if you just click on that and select manual CPC. I will uncheck the enhanced CPC because I want to set manual bids for this campaign, and I want to make sure that my average CPC is minimum as possible. Then we will provide this campaign a budget. So I'll just give it a dummy budget of just £10. Then there are some additional options that you can choose from. I won't go into more details regarding these options because these are quite self-explanatory. For example, the ad schedule, whether you want to run your ads all day, every day, or you want your ads to run at specific times during the week, and if your campaign is going to be running for a specific time. So this is quite self-explanatory here, and you can pick and choose the options that are relevant to the campaign that you are trying to create. Then we're going to create our first ad group. So here I will create an ad group for my remarketing audience. So I'll just select remarketing. So in this ad group, I will only have audiences that I'm going to target who have already been on my website. So to select my audience, I'll click on browse and then select how they have interacted with your business, and then select website visitors, and I'll select all visitors 30 days. If you do not have this option appear here, then you will need to go back into the audience sections in tools and setting options here, into the audience manager, and create your audience for your website visitors if you have the tag set up correctly for your website. So once you have selected your audience, you will then move down to the demographics section. Here is entirely up to you which audience is suitable for you. So for me, I know that for this service that I'm going to create this campaign for, I would ideally want to target just female audience only, and also I would want to target people between ages 25 onwards. Whereas it's entirely up to you for your campaign. If you have the target audience that include the male as a gender as well, then you can include them as well. However, this is the targeting setting that I will use. So then we will move on to the targeting expansion section. So this is a new option that Google has introduced. I am not really very keen on using this option because it extends your audience targeting. It broadens your audience targeting, and I don't necessarily like it. I would like to keep control of the audiences that I want to target, so I will just take it to off. So it will not increase my reach to any other audiences that I do not want to target. So here we will provide this ad group with an ad group bid at the ad group level. So I will include just 10p as the initial bid to get started with my campaign. Here there is an option for dynamic ads if you want to use that, but because we are creating a manual display campaign, so I wouldn't use this option, and I'll go into create new ads. Here there are a few options that will appear here. So the first one is the responsive display ads. So these are the ads that you can create yourself by adding different headlines and different descriptions to your campaign, and selecting the images provided by Google. Or you can upload your existing display ads here. So for example, if you are working in a business and you have a graphic designer who has created the banner ads for you, so you can upload those banner ads through this option here. So however, in my case, I will just use the responsive display ad option, and this will expand into this section here. Here I will need to just provide the different options and different inventory that it wants me to provide. So for example, the final URL, I've already got this selected here. And I will include the funnel URL here. And then in terms of images and logos, I will just go into the stock images and search for extensions. So you can search for the keywords around your campaign, and it will show some pictures, and you can choose the images that are more relevant to your campaign. So I'll just select this image for an example, and I will just add this to my campaign, and then I'll have the option for entering my headlines here. So I've got the headlines here. So these headlines are 30 characters or less. So just make sure that you have your headlines, your ad copy created according to the limitations here. So I'll just add 2 different headlines here, and I'll create a long headline as well. You can add up to 5 descriptions here as well, but I will just include 1 description just to show you guys. There you go. So, and we'll enter the business name here. Okay, and you will just go ahead and create a campaign. So now you will continue to the campaign. And now if you see on the left hand side, your campaign has been created. So however, before you kind of like leave this campaign to go live, I would pause it for now, and I'll show you some other settings that you need to check before making this campaign live. So the first setting is to make sure that your targeting is set correctly. So here where it says content exclusions, if you just click on that, and it'll expand the different options. So these are the exclusions. This is the type of content where you do not want to appear. You don't want to show your ads on this type of content, which includes mature audiences, tragedy and conflict, sensitive social issues, profanity and rough language, sexually suggestive, sensational and shocking. I would also want to exclude the gaming option, but Google has recently made it inactive, but I'll show you a workaround to exclude the games as well. I would exclude the live streaming YouTube videos as well, and park domains and in videos from my targeting, and click save. So this is one of the options that I have excluded from my targeting. Then there is an option called frequency capping. Frequency capping lets you limit the number of times a user will see your ad on the display network. It's entirely up to you if you want to limit the number of times somebody would see your ad on the display network, but I would let Google take that job for me and decide, let Google decide, how many times they want to show my ad to a specific user. So in order to exclude the mobile apps and some other options, we will use the Google Ads editor to exclude those options because those options are not really available online on the online interface. So what I will do is I'll open the Google Ads editor. So once you have the editor open and you are in the right account, you'll go into get recent changes and select basic. Here you will go and select campaigns that you select, and because this is one of the campaigns that I have just created, I'll just select that and press OK, and this will go ahead and download that campaign from the online Google Ads account into my ads editor. Now as we have this campaign paused, it will appear here, and we just have one ad group, which is the remarketing ad group. So once we have this campaign selected, we will go down to the manage section here and go into keywords and targeting. So in the keywords and targeting section here, there are a couple of options that we will select. So the first one we'll go on to is the placement negatives. So here what you will need to do is, once you go onto the placement negatives, you'll click on add negative placement, and you can add that negative placement at the campaign level or the ad group level. Whereas in my case, I will implement this placement negative at the campaign level. And on the right hand side, you will see this option that says to enter the URL of the placement that you want to exclude from your targeting. So if you want to exclude, say for example, YouTube as a whole, as a platform, so just enter youtube.com and it will exclude youtube.com as a placement for your campaign. So say for example, like if you're getting a lot of clicks from YouTube channels that are like kids cartoon channels and not really relevant to your product and service, and you want to exclude youtube.com overall from your targeting, and that is one of the options that you can exclude youtube.com. Then to exclude the mobile apps from your targeting, go on to the mobile app categories here, mobile app categories negative, and then click on add mobile negative mobile app category, and then you want to apply that at the campaign level. And from here, just select the first option, which is all apps. What this will do is this will exclude all mobile your ads to appear on any mobile apps at all. So it will not appear on any of the mobile apps. You can also see some other options in your Google Ads editor, such as the topic negatives. So say for example, if you're offering a product or service that's not really relevant to, say for example, baby, baby and pet names, babies and toddlers, you can exclude this option from your targeting. So your ads will not appear for these topics. And if there's any other topics that you think that they're not really relevant to your targeting, you can exclude those topics as well here. In terms of audiences, you can select negative audiences here. So your negative audiences would be people who have already converted on your website, or maybe if you have an email list of your customers who are already your clients and you do not want to target those clients on the display network, you can add those clients here by adding the negative audience at the campaign level. I hope this video will help you with setting up your display campaign. If you have any questions, then feel free to leave your comments below and I'll respond to any questions that you have. Also, please subscribe to this channel for my upcoming videos related to Google Ads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.